Hello and Namaskar. Welcome to another session of BW4HANA Tidbits, where I share some of my knowledge and experience. My name is Devanshu Mukherjee, and please give me a thumbs up if you like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel for regular updates. So today we are going to discuss one of the most fundamental objects of BW4HANA, and they are info objects. So we will look at the positioning of the info objects, the new interface for maintaining the info objects, and the new functionalities and features of the info objects in BW4HANA. So let's get started. Alright, so let's look at the positioning of the info objects. Well, as you can see from the diagram, in BW4HANA, a lot of info providers have become obsolete, and I have a dedicated video which explains what are the previous BW object info providers and what are the corresponding new info providers in BW4HANA. Please check that out for the details. So for the info object, the positioning is that it is not obsolete. It is very much alive and is also one of the key modeling objects in BW4HANA. Now let's look at some salient points with respect to the info objects. So info objects are still relevant, as we mentioned, and are the key objects to manage your master data. However, they are no longer mandatory. As with previous versions of BW, it was mandatory for us to use the info objects to model our key figures and the master data. But that is no longer the case in BW4HANA. Now in BW4HANA, you can do field-based modeling, and those field-based modeling is very much evident in corporate layer advanced DSOs and your staging layer advanced DSOs. So yes, we don't have to use info objects, but also on the other hand, if we don't use info objects, we will be limited and restricted in many ways. Let's look at some core functionalities which will not be possible without info objects. The first is text of different lengths, language and time dependency. Meaning if you want to have text which has a language, so text if you want to maintain with different languages, or if the text changes with time and that kind of modeling has to be done, then you have to have info objects. Then the second one is hierarchies. If you want to have hierarchies associated with different info objects, for example, if you want to have your organization hierarchy, or if you want to have your GL hierarchy or your profit center hierarchy, then you have to have info objects. And the third one is time dependent master data attributes. So if you have attributes in your info objects which are time dependent and that kind of a model is necessary for your reporting, then you have to use info objects. So as we can see that although info objects are no more mandatory and we can have field-based modeling, the info objects are still very much required for some core functionalities in BW. Alright, so let's look at the Eclipse-based new editor for info objects. So the screenshot here is from the BW4HANA HANA Studio based or Eclipse based new editor for info object. As you can see, the tabs and the options are similar to what we had in GUI version of previous BW, but in addition to that, we also have some new functionalities and new options for the info objects. Like for example, we have the SAP HANA external view for reporting and also SAP HANA external view for master data. We have something called enhanced master data update, which is new. We have something called high cardinality, which is again a new concept. And also you can see that the properties view will give you a lot of links to jump to the tables directly and view the content of those tables. So there are a lot of new functionalities with the new Eclipse based editor. Alright, so now let's look at the ways we can maintain the master data in BW4HANA. So first thing to notice here is that now you have to maintain the master data from the BW4HANA Cockpit and not from the GUI. And there are two ways to jump to BW4HANA Cockpit. First is from the cockpit itself. Once you log in into your BW4HANA Cockpit, you will have an option under data display and maintenance, and that option is called info object master data maintenance. So once you click on that tile, you will be presented with a screen where you can manage or maintain your master data. The second way to jump to the BW4HANA Cockpit is the wrench icon on the info object maintenance screen in the Eclipse. So once you click on that, it will take you to BW4HANA Cockpit, where you can manage and maintain your master data. But please note that there are few services you have to activate in SICF transaction code, and under the default host you will have the services for hierarchy maintenance and the services for master data maintenance, and once you activate those services, the integration between the Eclipse and the BW4HANA Cockpit will work seamlessly. Now let's look at some additional functionalities given to us in this new Eclipse-based HANA Studio editor. In the previous BW versions, we had certain functionalities and features for info objects in the GUI-based editors, and now in addition to them, we have few more functionalities only available in this new Eclipse-based editor. So let's look at them. First one is the transitive attributes, which is nothing but attribute of an attribute. Then we have the time characteristics such as cal month, cal year, cal week, cal quarter, etc. as navigation attributes of cal day, which was not the case in our previous BW versions. We can see the master data value preview in two ways in the Eclipse, and we'll see that in a moment. We can also generate external SAP HANA views, one for master data and the other one is for reporting. Then there's a new concept called enhanced master data update, which is introduced for bulk loads. Then we can also have a direct view of backend MD tables, master data tables, and through a link we can directly jump to the content of those tables. We also have outline view, which I will quickly touch upon to show you that how it can be used as a handy navigation tool in the new editor. Then we will look at the extra long text and the Xsl attribute, how they are created. We will also touch upon the master data maintenance governed by authorization. This is a new concept which will help you control that who can actually maintain the master data for the info objects. Then we will see what is high cardinality with respect to info objects. And then finally we'll see the info object catalogs are now folders in the new BW4HANA. Okay, so now let's look at each one of these functionalities in detail. Let's start with transitive attributes. So a transitive attribute is a display or a navigation attribute of an existing display or a navigation attribute. That means it's at second level. So there's a main info object which is 0D_NW_BP, and then we have the first level, meaning the direct navigation or display attributes, and then we have the second level, meaning the navigation or display attributes of a navigation or display attributes. And with the option of maintain transitive attributes, now you can bring those second level info objects, which is nothing but transitive attributes, to the first level as a direct navigation or display attribute. Moving on, let's see what is the change which happened in the 0 cal day. So earlier these time characteristics, the cal month, cal year, cal week, quarter, etc. were separate independent info objects, time info objects. But now 0 cal day has all of them as its navigation attributes. So that's a change in BW4HANA. So once you drag 0 cal day, now you can add the remaining time characteristics as a navigation attributes of 0 cal day. Now let's look at the option of previewing your master data values. This is a great option if you want to look at the data before you can publish the results to the actual customers. So there are two options. On the top right hand side corner in the maintenance screen of an info object, you will see that there are two options called reporting preview and cockpit preview. Now reporting preview will give you a look and feel of a BEX query designer, and which has rows and columns and free characteristics on the left hand side, and you can drag the info objects from the free characteristics to the rows or column section. And on the right side data grid you can see the values. Now this is the first option. Now if you choose the second option, BW cockpit preview, it will show you the values in the web portal format, but not on the website, not on the browser, but inside this BW reporting preview sub-view. Now this is a sub-view you can activate via the Eclipse option of window and then show view, and under that show view, once you select the BW reporting preview, you will start seeing this sub-view as part of your overall display. Alright, So now one of the interesting features of external SAP HANA views, let's look at that from an info object point of view. So for an info object, we have two types of views which get generated. The first view which gets generated is the SAP HANA view for master data, and the second one is SAP HANA view for reporting. Now from the initial look, this might sound confusing to you. So let's look at each one of them a little bit in detail. So first of all, where do you actually configure the setting for the package assignment? That means where do you tell SAP HANA or SAP BW to generate these calculation views? In the transaction code rs2hana_view. When you go to this transaction code, there is a option of SAP HANA package, and by default it will be set to system-local.bw.bw to HANA. And this is the path in your HANA Studio where you can see all the calculation views which are generated. So there are two calculation views. If you choose the first option, which is SAP HANA view for master data, that is going to generate a dimension calculation view. That means you cannot define measures or key figures here. It is a purely master data view and it cannot be directly exposed to the BI reporting tools. So this can be used inside another cube or fact CV, which can further be exposed to the reporting tools. So this is the first kind of view. And if you have chosen the second option, which is called SAP HANA view for reporting, then it results in a cube calculation view, which has aggregation as a top node, and the dimension calculation view has a projection as a top node. And also, because this CV is a big CV, usually because of the different joins for the attributes, you can use the miniature view. As you can see here, the miniature view will let you navigate in this calculation view from top to bottom or whichever section you want to navigate to. So this view, and there are many other sub views which are very handy tools for navigating the artifacts. So this is the difference between the master data view and the reporting view. Master data view results in a dimension calculation view, and the reporting view results in the cube calculation view. So now let's also look at a couple of important questions regarding the generated HANA calculation views. Question number 1. Does the external SAP HANA view which gets generated include the data of the nearline storage? That means the archived data. And the answer is yes, it does. And further information you can find in the SAP note 2032797. Second very frequently asked question is, does the external view, the generated view, support non-cumulative key figures? And the answer again is yes. Further details in the note. And finally, are hierarchies supported? And the answer is yes. Starting with 7.5, the external HANA view of an info object also includes the hierarchies, and also you have to note that there is a separate view which gets created for the hierarchy. And with BW4HANA, there is also an extension to that, which means the hierarchy nodes are also supported in restricted key figures and global filters. And there is a very important note 2317197, which will give you all the frequently asked questions regarding the external HANA views. Alright, so now let's look at another important feature which is called Enhanced Master Data Update, and this is purely new option in BW4HANA. What that means? So that means that the regular mode of the master data loading in the attributes and text table can now be made parallel loading, and also we can have info objects behaving as advanced DSO structure. So that's what is basically called Enhanced Master Data Update. So there are two things which happens. First, we can enable parallel loading, and second, the structure and the tables become similar to that of an advanced DSO. Now let's look at that a little bit in detail. So usually when we load the master data attributes or text, we have the source, and then we have a sequential load which happens in the attributes and text table, and then finally we have only full extraction supported from the info objects to different targets, and then we have the regular tables like P, Q, M, S, T, the attributes and text tables. Now, if you check that checkbox, enhance master data update, in backend, what will happen is 4 new tables gets generated, which are D, E, F, G. D and E are inbound and changelog table for attributes. Now, this is where it will sound similar to the tables of the DSO, the advanced DSO, because DSO also has inbound table, the active table and the changelog table. So, same types of table gets created for an info object as well. So D is the inbound table, E is the changelog table for attributes, and then F is the inbound table and G is the changelog table for text. Please note that the enhanced MD update is not supported for hierarchies. So once you check that checkbox, these 4 additional tables, they get generated. And if the requirement is not for sequential processing, then you can use the enhanced master data property to enable parallel loading. The info object characteristic then has a structure like ADSO, which we just discussed, with additional tables on inbound and changelog. And the enhanced master data update is useful if you want to load a large quantity of data or load in parallel from multiple data sources simultaneously. So that is the use case for the enhanced master data update. If you have a large quantity to be loaded, like a bulk load, huge amount, or you have several different data sources for the info object, then you can check this checkbox and it will generate these DSO like tables and you can load the data in parallel. So if you see the diagram here, we have source 1, source 2, source 3. In parallel, they all load to inbound table, and then when you activate the master data, it goes to the changelog and also goes to the regular master data tables, which are the attributes and text tables. And from the changelog, now we can have delta extraction enabled for the target. And when you have the enhanced master data option enabled, you can use this activate master data and delete master data from changelog, these process types in your process chains. So just to summarize, what is enhanced master data? Enhanced master data is an option to better perform the bulk load or the heavy volume load or the multiple source systems to a single info objects type of a scenario. What this enables? This enables 4 backend tables, additional backend tables, 2 for the attributes, 2 for the text, which is inbound and changelog for attributes and inbound and changelog for text, D, E, F, G. And with this, you can have parallel loading to inbound table and then changelog table, and then you can have the delta option also to the target for the info objects. So initially, you see here it's written, which we just discussed. Initially, it is loaded to the inbound table, and when you activate, the changelog and the active tables of attributes and text of the info objects are updated. The activation can be processed in parallel in ABAP runtime or in HANA runtime. So activation, you can choose the option which runtime you want. And since HANA 2.0 SPS 03, it's a prerequisite. What is a prerequisite? HANA runtime is a prerequisite. There is a new process variant, activate master data. We just saw that. You can use that to include in the process chains. And where you can set this runtime ABAP versus HANA in the RSDMD settings transaction code. In that, if you go to that particular info object, and then under the settings, you will see that expert settings, and under expert settings, there is a type of activation option. And in that, you have A or H. A is for ABAP, H is for HANA. Few important points related to this. The enhanced MD update is only available for non-time dependent attributes or text. Very important point. So if you have any attribute of the info object which is time dependent or a text which is time dependent, then you cannot select the enhanced master data update. Time dependency complexity is not yet handled with the parallel loading. And the release requirement are at least BW4HANA 1.0 SP 8 or higher to use this option. And there is no change to the handling of hierarchies as we discussed. The concept of this enhanced master data update does not apply to hierarchies. Then let's move on to see the direct view of backend master data tables and direct access. So there is another subview called properties, another very important subview which should be a part of your overall display. And this properties subview will give you general DDIC, number range object and master data routine details. Under that, the second option or the second feature of DDIC will list all the tables of a master data info object, like your data element, your SID, PQM, DEFG if you have the enhanced master data update, and these are clickable links. That means if you click on that, or you can also display data with the display data feature, but when you click on the link, it will directly take you to the definition of these tables. Moving on, let's look at the outline subview of the Eclipse editor. Now all these subviews can be activated by the option window, show view, and the different views. So the outline view will give you the description or the details of all the components of your artifact or info provider you choose in the main editor. So for example, on the right side there is a main editor, and there I have chosen Z customer info object, and in the outline view I can see what are the display attributes, what are the navigation attributes. Even without going into those details in the right main editor, I can still see them in the outline view. So it's a very good subview which gives you the details or the breakdown of your info object or info provider. Similarly, for composite provider, if you choose that and open the composite provider in the main editor, it will show you the participating info providers and other concomitant details. So this is a very handy and useful subview. Now let's look at the extra long text and the Xsl attribute. So if you choose the long text, which is extra long options, then you can have further characteristics which is up to a maximum of 1333 in your data model. So sometimes it happens that the long text, which is 60 characters in length, does not suffice the requirement, and in those cases you can go for the extra long text having 1333 number of characters. Similar option or a similar feature is Xsl Attributes. So Xsl Attributes allows us to use string or X-string data type, and these are separate types of info object. We can have CHA characteristic, KYF is key figure, UNI is unit, and XSL is an Xsl info objects. You can use two data types in this, whether it's string, character string, which is CLOB, character large object, or a byte large object, byte string. So these are the Xsl attributes which are used to store media files like audio files, video files, images if you have. So if you have such a requirement, you can use the Xsl attribute info object. Alright, moving on to the next feature, which is called master data maintenance governed by authorization. What that means is that with this flag, now you can protect the attributes and text for this characteristic or a particular characteristic being maintained at a single record level. So let me give you an example. So I have a customer, Z customer as my info object, and in that I have 10 different customers. 5 of them are local customers, meaning if I am in North America region, then those are North America customers, and then there are global customers which are international customers. Now if I want that a particular user of North America should only be able to maintain or edit the text or the attribute values for North America, I can control that via this option. So the user will only be restricted to those records in this Z customer, and he or she cannot modify all the records for this particular info object. So this is at a very granular level. You can control that who in your organization can maintain which set of data. Alright, so let's move on to the next one, which is high cardinality. Now this high cardinality property allows a particular user to create more than 2 billion characteristic attributes for a particular info object, which is a highly unlikely scenario. But in exceptional cases, this option is given to you by SAP. So having high cardinality imposes lots of restrictions. What are they? A high cardinality characteristic cannot be used in info cubes, cannot be used in SAP HANA analysis process, cannot be used as a parent in the compounding scenarios, it cannot be used as navigation attribute, and it cannot be used in hierarchies. As you can see, these are some major restrictions. So high cardinality is only to be used in exceptional scenarios. So now let's look at the last feature which I would like to discuss in today's presentation is the info object catalogs, which are no longer supported in BW4HANA and are replaced by folders. As you can see from the first screenshot, the catalogs are no longer supported, and there is a very simple process by using this program RSDG IOBJ IOBC migrate to area, and you can migrate your info object catalogs to your folders. And after the migration, or if you are installing a new system, then you will have folders, which is characteristics, key figures, time characteristics, unit, and Xsl info objects. And under these folders, your info objects will be created accordingly. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped you clarify the info object features and functionalities given in BW4HANA. And please give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and also subscribe to my channel for regular updates, and I will see you in the next one.